Alibaba.com की मेंबरशिप मेरी कंपनी को अभी ग्लोबल ब्रांड बना रही है।
Go export with Alibaba.com.
A very warm welcome and good afternoon to all the entrepreneurs and exporters joining us today for the Accessing Global Value Chains 2025, a webinar series under the India Exports Initiative. This program aims at empowering India's small and medium enterprises to capture the B2B export opportunities in the global market, majorly through e-commerce. This webinar has been curated specifically for Indian exporters who are targeting, starting, or scaling up their B2B export across different sectors. These webinars will be available to watch on YouTube later. By providing these sector-focused knowledge within a short span, our goal is to equip participants with essential skills and insights to thrive as B2B exporters in their fields. Today, our focus lies in the B2B export opportunities in the creative manufacturing, leather, and toys sector, which showcases a rich blend of tradition and modernity, deeply rooted in craftsmanship and cultural heritage. India's creative, leather, and toy industries are key drivers of economic growth and employment. The creative sector, which is valued at $30 billion, employs 8% of the workforce, with creative jobs offering 88% higher wages than non-creative roles. Exports in this sector grew 20% last year and generated over $11 billion, highlighting the strong growth potential. The leather and footwear industry employs around 2.5 million people, out of which 30% are women, and has contributed to $7.5 billion in turnover and continues to grow at 8% annually, with footwear and leather goods dominating the exports. The toy industry, which is valued at $1.5 billion in 2022 and has projected to double by 2028, has seen exports rise at 17.1% annually. Supported by the government initiatives like Make in India, these industries showcase India's potential for global expansion while driving the domestic economic transformation. The creative sector's rapid export growth and high wages present opportunities for further momentum, while the leather and the footwear industry require strategic efforts to maximize their global impact. The toy sector, despite their fast export growth, still holds a small global market share and indicates a room for expansion. This webinar series has been created to delve into these challenges with the knowledge from the exporters and also provide strategies for the MSMEs to strengthen their global presence and achieve sustainable growth. We are thrilled to bring together experts, successful exporters, and thoughtful leaders in this sector who will share their practical advice, their experiences, and insights to guide our entrepreneurs in navigating the complexities and the challenges and the opportunities in these sectors. We encourage you to actively participate and ask questions in the chat section and take advantage of the expertise shared by our distinguished panelists. Whether you are a seasoned exporter or a startup owner, or just simply exploring the idea of entering the international market, I hope this webinar will provide valuable knowledge and inspiration to help you move forward. Now, I would like to invite the esteemed speakers and the moderator for the discussion today. First, we have Mr. Atul Kumar Mishra. He is the Regional Director of Council for Leather Exports. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Mushrat Rahman. She is the proprietress of the brand Mush. Uh, let's move forward. Next, we have Mr. Ravindra Sharan. He is the owner of the brand Artifacts India.
Hi, how are you?
You're welcome, sir.
Uh,
Hi, I'm good, sir.
Thank you very much.
Next we have Mr. Kevam Shah. He is the export and corporate sales manager of Aditi Toys Private Limited. Hello and welcome, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Finally, we have Ms. Radhika Agrawal. She is the marketing operations manager of Alibaba.com.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Finally, I would now like to invite the moderator of the session today, Ms. Pinky Maheshwari. She is the founder of the brand Surprise Someone. Hello, ma'am. Thank you all for joining us
Hi.
today. I hope we have a great session forward. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi. Thank you, Bhumika. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And a warm welcome to today's India Export Sectoral webinar on creative manufacturing, leather, and toys. My name is Pinky Maheshwari, and I'm delighted to be your moderator for this insightful session. India's creative industry, valued at about $30 billion, are at heart of economic and cultural story. They not only contribute significantly to employment, but also reflect our nation's craftsmanship and ingenuity. Today, we'll explore the opportunities and challenges for Indian MSMEs in these vibrant sectors as they strive to strengthen their presence in global value chain. We have an exciting lineup of speakers with extensive experience in creative manufacturing, leather export, toy production, digital platform for exports. And they will share their insight, challenges, and success stories to inspire and guide us. So, without further ado, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. So, first on stage, I would request Bhumika to pin Mr. Atul Kumar Mishra. He's a regional director, Council for Leather Exports. Mr. Atul comes with 17 years of experience in international trade. Mr. Mishra has been at the forefront of promoting India's leather and footwear export globally. He's a champion of innovation, sustainability, and Make in India initiative, empowering Indian manufacturing and artisans. Next in line, we have Ms. Musrat Rahman, proprietors Mush, a trailblazer in the leather good industry. Ms. Rahman has taken her brand Mush to global market, including US, UK, France. Her expertise lies in crafting premium leather products, blending timeless designs with craftsmanship. Welcome, Musrat. And we have third speaker, Mr. Ravinder Sharan. He's a senior exporter, like Bhumika just mentioned, and
Sorry,
owns
it
a
is
brand.
Ravindra, please. It is Ravindra Sharan. Thank you.
Ravindra Sharan, senior exporter, a seasoned entrepreneur with over 3 decades of experience. Mr. Sharan has collaborated with iconic global brands like Harrods, Louis Vuitton, Walmart. His expertise in embellished paper products and textile accessories showcase his creative and innovative spirit. He's passionate about nurturing talent, actively contributes to thought leadership through workshops and forums. Welcome, sir. Now coming to Mr. Kevam Shah, Export and Corporate Sales Manager, Aditi Toys Private Limited. He's driving Aditi Toys global expansion. Mr. Shah has positioned the brand in international markets like Europe, US, Australia. Known for his strategic expertise, he has represented the company at prestigious trade shows worldwide, making significant impact on business growth and industry partnership. Thank you for being here. And last, we have Radhika Agarwal, Marketing Operational Manager, Alibaba.com. Welcome, Radhika. She's leading Alibaba's marketing operations, Ms. Agarwal specializes in crafting impactful brand strategies and building vibrant communities. Her innovative approach empowers business while fostering meaningful connections in India's dynamic e commerce landscape. It's an absolute honor to have all of you with us today. To begin, let's briefly touch upon the significance of today's topic. The creative industry in India has grown rapidly, like she just mentioned, with exports surging by 20% last year. Leather and footwear exports alone contributed to about $1.5 billion in 2022, and sector is expected to double by 2028. Meanwhile, the toy industry is carving its niche in global market, signaling immense potential. As we navigate through today's discussion, we'll touch upon key aspects such as how MSME can blend traditional craftsmanship with modern design, addressing barriers like intellectual property rights, leveraging technology and digital platforms to enhance visibility. So let's dive into the session with some thought provoking questions for our panelists. So, first, I'll request Mr. Atul Mishra. Let's start with you. As a regional director for Council for Leather Exports, sir, you have seen the industry evolve over the years. So, my first question to you is, how does India's leather and footwear industry measure up against global leaders like China, Vietnam, and Italy? So,
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for giving an opportunity to elaborate on these points, and thanks for your such a elaborate introduction also. Let me give a gratitude from my council. It's a basically Council for Leather Exports, and we are under Department of Commerce as an export mission council. So I'm here since last 8.5 years where I have joined. Before that, I was with the Apparel Export Mission Council. So obviously, I have a good exposure of the international trade. So directly coming to your point where you have asked the question, how we are faring against our competitors like China, Vietnam, and Italy. See, the countries that you have taken, China, it's basically plays on the scale. Whatever they are doing, it is a scale-based strategy that they adopt. They play on the prices. These prices are becoming competitive. It's because of their strategy where they will try to help increase the skills with the help of their financial supports through their cluster development strategy, bringing in more foreign players. So they bring in the kind of technology, knowledge, and uh, adaptation for the new processes which are required. So in terms of if I have to take up the factors where how India, Vietnam, and Italy plays their things and they are basically working on. So it's basically China which plays on a scale. And if you move to the Vietnam, it's not a very large or a big country, both in terms of the geography and the population. But what they have done, their strategy is to basically move into the foreign trade. So what they have capitalized on the various trade policies through which they are attracting their foreign direct investment, specifically from the big brands who outsource for their countries or wherever they are. Largely, it is for the European countries or the developed countries of the North America. Then, if you look at the Italy, which is the third largest player in the leather and footwear export market, they basically rely on the premium segment of the product with their craftsmanship and the kind of knowledge that they had developed over the last 2 and 3 centuries in terms of the having craftsmanship for making footwears, leather technology, and adopting to its craft people, how best they can basically bring in a various kind of their design knowledge and how best they can produce a product. Obviously, over a time, the Italy has the advantage that over a time, whatever they have done it in terms of a sustainable manner, where they have kept acquiring the kind of technologies which are environment friendly, human friendly, and it gives the advantage of having a sustainability aspects. So these are the three aspects on which basically all these three countries varies. Now coming to our India obviously it's not it doesn't fit into any kind of these models where which I have just elaborated. What India fares in basically, India fits that obviously small quantities, small sizes, and if there is a specific requirements, then obviously we can basically export. But our abilities, our potentials do not stop here. I will give you a little brief of the how the Indian leather and footwear industry has progressed over a time. See, till 1990s, we were just a raw material supplier, that is hide and bed blue. It's a type of leather that is being semi-finished leather that is was being exported. Then when we opened our economy, we struggled still, and we were only a finished leather supplier. That is a leather fabric which is normally used for various kinds of the product that were there. Then after 2001, when there is a de-reservation of the SMEs happens, then obviously you get out of this, the kind of barricade that was created that only small and medium enterprises can thrive in this sector. You move from there, 100% FDI also allowed. Then you started facing the competitions from the overseas players also. So here basically it is our entrepreneurs and their skills that must be given some kind of a compliment, that obviously they thrived, they scaled up themselves, they brought in the technology, they created the manpower which was required. Obviously we had a craft here, but that was localized. It's very difficult. See, the whatever the development that was happening, it was organic in nature. So we did not have enough connectivity. We did not have the kind of end-to-end solutions which is required for the manufacturing. So, but as the experience grown, we grew up. Initially, we started with the $200 million. That's what I remember in the 1980s. That was the export that was happening from the country. We reached 1 billion. Now it is on an average $5 billion. Obviously, there is a stagnation since 2015 onwards. 2015, we had crossed $6.75 billion. But somehow, because of the certain change in the policies and certain inward-looking things that has happened, so and obviously there is a stagnation in the global market also. Europe is our largest export destination. They are facing problem. Their economy is almost stagnant. Demand is almost slow. So there is a tapering that is happening. We do find some of the other markets where we can grow up, but obviously it takes little time. So that's why we have stagnated at $5 billion on an average export that is happening from India. So obviously Vietnam, why? Obviously the only benchmark that I consider it's a Vietnam. We must look at it because the way they have grown in 2005, India's exports and Vietnam exports for the leather and footwear, it was almost similar, USD $3 billion. They reached 30 billion. We are still at 5. So it's a matter that we must introspect. We must see where we have gone wrong. It's all because of the policies, obviously, or because of the entrepreneurial skills. Resources, obviously, we cannot blame. The kind of resources which is required for the leather and footwear industry, it's already there. If I have to cite, let me give you example. We have almost 11%, 20% of the world cattle and buffalo population in our country. It helps us to get a hide, which is the best material out of the abattoirs. Then we have 11% of the global and goat and sheep population. Out of this, we create almost 3 billion square feet of the leather every year. So it's not a raw material and input availability that is a problem. But yes, our problem had been that we were not able enough to integrate ourselves with the global supply chain. So I think that could have been the problem that we had faced over time and we could not catch up. But now there is a realization. People are very eager, entrepreneurs are very eager to enter into market and the opportunities as China plus people keep talking. So we are taking it as very aggressive and hopefully we would be able to match up with what other countries or our competitors are doing. So that's it from my side, ma'am.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for that fascinating insight. I think it's always an eye-opening to hear the intricacies behind such dynamic industry. So thank you, sir. Thank you for that detailed analysis. It is insightful to see how India is positioning itself in the global leather market. Now I'm coming to Ms. Musrat Rahman. Ms. Rahman is someone who has successfully built a leather brand with global reach. I'd like to start by asking you, what are the key market segments driving the growth of global and Indian leather industry? Over to you. Ms. Rahman? You'll have to unmute. We can't hear you, Musrat. Okay, so meanwhile, Musrat, you can just settle it and then I'll come back to you. So I will go to Mr. Shah. Turning to you, my first question. How does India's toy export performance compare to global leaders like China?
Yeah, thanks a lot for this opportunity, for letting us know about more about the toy industry. So, as per the question, so like as you told, like there is how we can compete or how India is in terms of toy sector comparing to global countries like China and other countries. So, like in terms of China, we compare with India, then India is still a small in terms of toys because like basically before COVID, there was a import duty in toys if you import from China or the countries, uh, which was around 20%. And like after 2020, the duty increased to 60%. So it's a great initiative by the government of India. So after that, after 2020, the toy industry in terms of manufacturing started in India. So as you know, currently across the world, China is like into toy. If you can say it's around 60 to 70% stake of China in terms of toys manufacturing and exporting is concerned. And India is around 1 to 2.2% around max. So it's growing. So every industry takes a time in terms of changing, in terms of technology adoption, in terms of government policies. So like government imposed an import duty, and that's the reason small manufacturing of toys started after 2020, and like now it's growing steadily, increasing on an average. It's increasing around 30 to 40% in terms of manufacturing is concerned, and in terms of exports is concerned. Also, government initiated a BIS for the India. So like you have to follow the BIS standards to supply to manufacture quality toys, safety toys, and also to supply you need a BIS. So that's the reason the import of toys lowered down and the manufacturing started. And as you know, India is highly populated country, so there is a huge consumption in domestic market, as well as now many companies have started exporting, and you can say there is a steady growth and there is a good response from the western countries like US, Europe. In terms of China is concerned, what India is very much advantage of, like the uh, traditional materials and the handmade toys, handcrafted toys, which are made up of natural wood, clay. So that has been huge demand. And in terms of sustainability is concerned, many Western countries are now moving to sustainable materials, sustainable products. And as toys have been directly given to the kids, so there is a major factor in terms of safety and quality is concerned. So there is a huge response in terms of handcrafted, in terms of designs, in terms of traditional material used by the Indian manufacturers, suppliers. So in terms of global, as per your question, in terms of global is concerned, India is growing, not at a very steady state, but it takes a time to change the industry. Yeah.
Great, such a great point. I think it's amazing how we can turn challenges into opportunities as we approach them in the right way. So, thank you, Mr. Shah, for
Yes.
that comparative analysis. It is clear that there is a tremendous potential for India to grow in this space. Thank you so
Yes.
much. So, Ma'am Musrat Rahman, are you ready?
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Should I
Yes,
repeat the
please.
question, please?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was saying that you're someone who's successfully built a leather brand with global reach, as I was reading about you. So I'd like to start by asking, what are the key market segments driving the growth of global and Indian leather industry, if we speak?
Yeah, actually, entering the export market in leather industry require strategic planning, like compliance international standard and a strong market. The first, market research and strategy development, that we should do. Means like identify target export market, example US, Europe. Means like analyze consumer preference, pricing trends, and product demand. All right. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, absolutely, you're audible. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Focus on high quality, durable, eco-friendly leather products to meet international standards. Determine means like competitive pricing by benchmarking against global suppliers. I think, and you can register on B2B platform like Alibaba Global, Sources, and Trade India. Means like for entering the export you need this means like what to say, connect with export agents, wholesaler, and international brands looking for supplier or something like we if you are entering the export market in the leather industry. I think that's in from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Rahman. I think it's an insightful breakdown of market trends, what you're talking, and it's inspiring to hear about the opportunities that lie ahead for Indian leather manufacturers and whoever wants to get into this market, right? So, thank you so much. I'll come to Mr. Sharan. Mr. Sharan, with over 3 decades of experience of collaboration with iconic brands like Harrods, Louis Vuitton, Walmart, and many other brands, I was reading a long introduction about you, so quite impressive. What key qualities or innovations do you believe made Indian creative manufacturing stand out in these partnerships when you did that?
Hi, good evening. Let me start by telling you that while my export experience is 3 decades, my total corporate experience after my degree in management is 4.5 decades. So that's
Wow,
15
wow.
years before that and 3 decades after that. Now, the whole point of this exercise is while they have mentioned some of the very premium brands, I've also had the privilege of dealing with very small exporters, mama and papa stores. And my first import customer from Germany uh, was I was also his first exporter. He was my first buyer, and I was his first exporter. So we actually started learning.
We can't hear you, sir.
We lost you, Ravinder sir, we lost you. We can't hear. So maybe if you'll have to repeat 30
Somehow
seconds.
it got, I'm sorry, somewhere along the line it got unmuted. I don't know how. I'll mute it now. I will unmute it now. It got muted. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. So you'll have to repeat last 30 seconds, 30, 40 seconds.
Last 30 seconds. All right. So let me tell you that when I started my exports in 1994 and participated in the first fair in 1995, we did a lot of hard work, but it was futile hard work because what we did is we made beautiful designs, but we did not understand the color palette. We had no idea of what the color palettes are. We had no idea of what would the customer require. So that brings me to the most important thing. What we did, therefore, is when we next went to England on the High Street, Oxford Street.
Sir, again, you're muted.
that happens. My apologies. Okay, just be quick to point it out that I'm muted. I'm normally a fairly articulate person, so I am not normally muted. In any case, that apart, so we started at 8 o'clock in the morning on the Oxford Street, for example. We used to study the windows and understand the colors, and then we went to the stores to understand the concepts, the colors, the designs. And then when the stores got closed down again till 10 o'clock, because we had very little capital, we did not have enough money to waste around. So we wanted to utilize our stay there. Later, when we started participating in Messe Frankfurt, 96 onwards, three of us would go, but my wife would go from booth to booth, not to understand competition, but to understand the color and the design concepts. It is that color and design concepts that gives you an idea. Now, the whole point is, if I am to tell you about what is it that we need to do, my topic is restricted to manufacturing innovation, right? Indian creative manufacturing, which is manufacturing innovation. So if I was to talk about that, let's first start by understanding the customer requirement. That is point number one. The second point that you need to start with is the niche that you want to be in. Indians as a market, I have very exhaustively we have participated in Messe Frankfurt for 25 years. So therefore, I'm totally aware of what the international trends are. I've also toured China very extensively, and therefore I am aware of what their wonderful practices are. So we first need to understand that India as a market can only cater to niche. We account for almost 4 to 5% of the export market, whereas China accounts for 80%. So if you were to imagine that you can compete with China, forget it. You are not there to compete with China, you are there to coexist with them. And every percentage you add to the capital of India, to the total export of India, is where you would make a mark. So one is that you need to understand the market niche that you are in. Second, you need to understand what the customer requirement is. Third, you need to understand what your manufacturing abilities are. And more importantly, fourth, you need to understand what is it that is missing in our manufacturing ability. Let me give you an example. When I started first my business, we had also started for our corporate gift business. We had started with a chair painted from Rajasthan. Now, when you started with that, the chair had 40 edges on it, and out of the 40 edges, 36 edges were rough. So who would buy your product? So I made sure that the supplier of mine had a proper wooden lathe. He had proper wooden machinery to be able to completely smoothen out those 40 edges. Right, this is just an example. Similarly, in paper again, we concentrated on our binding abilities. For example, we manufacture glitter. We made sure we have been able to perfect the art that our glitter does not come off. To that extent, now we have this advantage all over the world, whereas most people, their glitter comes off, and we are actually able to manufacture something where the glitter does not come off. So innovation and market niche and constant interpretation of the buying plan. Now, this is a very important thing that we need to understand. We need to understand, what does the buyer want? In our industry, we have a very important institution called the buying agent. They are the bridge between the buyers and the customers. In the foreign fairs, like I told you, we have participated in almost 4 to 5 fairs every year for the last 26 years. So in those fairs, the customers come directly and they give you their needs. So you need to understand what their exact needs are. You need to understand what is it that you need to do. What does your manufacturing ability require? What sort of innovation you need? And what is the exact niche by which you can get a larger market share? Please understand that if the share of India can increase from 5% to 6%. It is a 20% growth. So we are not looking at the overall figure of, from 100, 5%, but when you have a small base, every incremental percentage means a substantial geometric growth. So these are some of the points. I can keep speaking for a long time because this is my favorite subject, but let us go ahead and let us give opportunity to the last lady from Alibaba, and then you can
Sure.
come back to me if you have any other questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. That was quite interesting for shedding light on this unique value Indian craftsmanship brings to the global stage. And I really like that example, what you were talking about, that chair with so many rough edges. So truly inspiring to hear how heritage and innovation can create such impactful collaborations. So thank you, sir. I'll come back to you again. So moving on to Miss Radhika Agarwal. Radhika, as a digital transformation specialist, my first question for you is, how can technology and digital platforms be leveraged to increase the visibility and impact on India's creative workers? Over to you.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that I've been really loving what my fellow panelists have been talking about. I think there's a lot for me to learn as well. While I'll be able to provide some kind of insights on the digital transformation, as you mentioned. So I think first, let's start by understanding that what if we try to think about it in this way, that the people who are actually part of this webinar, like the viewers, if we are saying that all of them are exporters and business owners, how many of them would be actually present on an e-commerce platform? So I would say like a 30% people would raise their hands if they were in person. But if we ask the same question in a setting where we have Chinese exporters, we would see that 90% of people will raise their hands, which is a huge gap that we are actually seeing right here. So this is what we want to bridge, that we want the exporters who are anyway selling their products or in a physical and an offline setting, to adapt to the e-commerce platforms, because there is a lot more scope, a lot more geographical borders are not there. And this is the kind of change that we have seen post COVID, that 30% more people, more buyers have started to raise queries. More buyers have been part of e-commerce platforms to support the needs that they are requiring. So if you are actually not present on a platform where those 30% extra people have adopted to their needs on e-commerce, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to fulfill the needs of those kind of buyers. So I think that's the first step. We want exporters to bridge that, at least be present, because otherwise you are missing a chunk. And you are even if you are late to the party, at least join the party and then learn with the process, because there is a lot of it that you can understand once you are in the system. A lot of support systems are there within the e-commerce space for you to slowly understand the market. So, and as sir also mentioned just before me, that he also participates in 4 to 5 trade shows in a year. I think what I would like to draw parallel here is that being on e-commerce platform is about being present in a trade show 24/7, because even when you're sleeping, even when you think your business is not running, it's running on your platform, and buyers across the globe are able to send inquiries to you, and which you can take it up as soon as you wake up the next day. So I think that's the kind of adoption we want to see the exporters, to at least not keep this untapped, because there is a whole new world waiting out there for you, which can be explored through e-commerce.
Thank you, Radhika. I would to understand, what is that barrier which you believe, which you see that it's stopping them, and it's a huge percentage gap which you just mentioned. So maybe for our viewers, if you could mention what is that barrier and how can we overcome that quickly, maybe?
So I think that barrier, first of all, is thinking that there are a lot of compliances, a lot of the background work that you will have to do if you are present on an e-commerce space. So I think that is definitely one of the things. But I think a lot of the e-commerce in all this while, when the transformation has started since 2007, when a lot of major e-commerce players have started coming in, these barriers are actually reducing, not increasing, because it has all the efforts of the e-commerce teams is making sure that their platform becomes user friendly, more and more user friendly for anyone who's trying to adopt. So I think it's only about having that digital mind shift and thinking that you're not actually losing out on your offline business, but adding a leg to your existing business. So that is the kind of education that we try to do, that at least be on the platform. Rest, the team, the entire ecosystem is there to support you, and that is definitely one of the pointers that we have constantly seen, that there's a lot that I'll have to do if I'm present. But once, and that shift, we are also able to see that once they're part of the system, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. So it is probably mostly a mindset game that we're trying to change over here.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well spoken. And it's indeed a game changer for the creative economy. So thank you so much. Sir, Mishra sir, I'll coming back to you. My second question for you. What are the primary factors contributing to the unorganized nature of Indian leather industry?
Yes, ma'am. So thank you. This question is really very important, and it's a very significant question that you have asked. See, leather industry was fragmented. Now it has started organizing. There is a more formalization now. It is happening. See, if you have a more exposure to overseas markets, you want to participate in the global supply chain. So the requirement is you have to be organized. So why there is a fragmentation? Obviously, it is almost 30 to 70%. The ratio is 70 to 30. 30% exporters, they are very well organized. 70% is still fragmented, unorganized. Some part of the activity happens at unorganized, others are little organized. So why is it happening and how did it happen? See, normally the entire leather supply chain, starting from the collection of the hides, then converting them into the leather as a finished leather, then sending it to the processing and for manufacturing, then getting it processed and creating in a different kind of goods like leather goods, wallet, purses, travel bags, footwears, accessories, whatever that is required, it's being done. So it's fragmented because we have a localized processing manufacturing in India, and because it is based on the craft and skills, they are also localized. So there is something which is called inertia, which has always had been there, and because it was a small in nature, so then obviously predominantly you would be feel amazed that more than 95% of the exporters of Indian, they are SMEs. So still we have a predominance of the SMEs. So what are the challenges for the SMEs? See, for them to scale up their activities, it's the biggest hindrance. So why they are not able to scale up? There could be many more reasons. See, because it is craft-based activity, so they would not like to basically create a organization or have a facility where once you increase the threshold of the manpower, then obviously for you to formalize it, make it more formal, and then comply with all the regulation of the country becomes difficult. So it has been working as a deterrent instead of as a pulling factor. And whatever the, at least before 2015, what we have seen, whatever the incentives, any policies, any financial instruments which were designed to help them to grow up, they were a kind of a nature where they were pressurizing them to remain as SMEs or remain fragmented, not to get integrated, don't come out with the end-to-end solution, don't have an integrated factories. So this is how it basically pressurized them. Besides, obviously, we can say that their artisanal practices, the creation of the skill and then creating at a mass level, it was not with them, and they did not have enough resources also to basically create. So obviously, as we understand, the productivity of the artisans and the productivity of the craftsmanship, if you have a labor intensive sector, it's really low compared to what. So obviously they in case if they have to create a larger scale, they need automation, they need adoption of the new technologies, for which again there is a requirement of the processed better intermediary goods and raw material, and the technology which is not very readily available, it has to be imported. So all those combined together had always created a pressure on them to remain as it is as they. Then obviously the kind of growth that they were looking, first it was inward, subsequently they moved in the global market. So now gradually they are realizing, until unless you don't organize yourself or you don't scale up yourself, you would not be in a position to basically meet up the demands at a price and quality which is required. Because the in terms of the prices, until unless you don't move at a scale which is required, you would not be able to meet up. And if you have to continue and sustain yourself, then quality as well as certain other aspects of the standards, whether it is a international standards or very private specific any brand whom you are serving, that is very much required. So I would not say that now still it remains fragmented or it is unorganized. Yes, part of the industry is unorganized, part of the industry is organized. The percentage of the unorganized is still very high, and people are working on it. Entrepreneurs are working, and most probably we would be in a position where we will move most of the industries in organized sector. So that's what, madam, I have to submit from my side in terms of the why Indian leather and footwear industry is unorganized. I would like to focus one more thing, madam. One last point that I would submit. It's only a leather and leather processing and accessories or products which are made out of the leather. They are little unorganized. While footwear industry, it's almost organized, because footwear is something where the requirement to have a capital intensive factory is little higher compared to leather and leather products which we are basically making. So there is a clear cut distinction. And even within the footwear, if you move into the non-leather segment where sports footwear being produced by like Nike, Adidas, Puma, Skechers or New Balance, these so they have a fully automated factories. Skill set is little different than what we require for the leather and leather made footwears. So that's how industry is changing. We are moving very fast and trying to integrate ourselves and making more ourselves as a organized. That's it from my part, from my side now. I think Maheshwari ji is not there. Yes, he has joined now.
Sorry,
So, ma'am, we missed you. You were not there for some time.
No, I was just 10 seconds before I just lost it. I was hearing you and you just wrap up. So, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I heard you finishing. So, great. Thank you so much. And I think addressing these structural challenges is essential to drive long-term growth in the sector. So, thank you so much, sir. Now I'll come to Ms. Rahman again. So my second question for you is, what steps should new entrepreneurs take to become a part of export market and value chains? Ms. Musrat, please unmute. Yes. Dear, we can't hear you. You'll have to unmute.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. First of all, I'll tell you, I'm not very good in speaking. I'm very nervous because this is the first time. But I would really love to answer this. If a new entrepreneur wants to enter the export market, so first he has to focus on high quality leather. means like, and the means like, and he or she should be means um, durable and eco-friendly leather products to meet international standard. Identify target export market, example US, Europe, Middle East, based on demand, trade policy, and competition. And if you want to show them some product, it should be stand out. Your product should be different from others for new entrepreneurs, because in this leather industry everybody is doing bags, everybody is doing leather jackets, but why buyer wants to buy from you? Because new entrepreneur, like I am also a new entrepreneur, so if some buyer come to me, so I have to show them some extraordinary product. Like I am especially in applique bags. Applique bag means there is a story in their bags. So, if a new entrepreneur wants to enter the export industry, he or she should be stand out with their products. That's end from my side.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Musrit. And, you were confident, so don't worry about it. It's just that we're sharing our experience,
Yeah.
insights, and you are doing an amazing work. I read about you. So kudos to you, and thank you for sharing
Thank you.
your
Thank you.
experience. Yeah, and your experience will surely guide the aspiring entrepreneurs who are listening to us in navigating global markets. बहुत सारे लोगों को ग्लोबल मार्केट में जाना होता है, और आप जैसे लोगों को जब सुनते हैं तो
Right.
उनको और एक कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाता है. So we are proud of you.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much, sir. Mr. Sharan sir, I'm coming to you. So. Um, Sir, I was reading about you, and like you were saying about the embellished paper products. So you have shown your expertise in that. So with that embellished paper products and textile accessories, your work with prestigious global brand, so many brands I would not name it. But what advice would you offer to Indian MSMEs who are listening here to all of us, aiming to attract similar international partnerships? क्या advice करेंगे आप?
Uh, I would like to, again, like I said earlier, I would like to begin from the very beginning. The first point that you need to remember is think out of the box. It is absolutely essential that whatever you do, it has to be out of the box. It has to be something like Musharraf ji said, and like Radhika also mentioned. It is extremely important for you to understand how is it that you can contribute to the customer, to the prospective customer, and what is it that you can do. And because everybody is manufacturing run on the mill products, if they're all manufacturing run on the mill products, how do you stand out? I mentioned niche marketing. Niche is nothing but thinking out of the box and understanding the customer requirement and what is it that you can do to contribute to that special requirement of the customer. That is point number one. Point number two, let us not think of becoming big, or let us not think of starting big, because even if you have a large amount of capital and if you want to start big, there are chances that you will lose that entire amount of capital in just your learning, because you would not have begun small. So I would always recommend to everybody to begin small. There is a very famous saying which I am very fond of, and that is journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So unless you take that step and unless you move by step, there is no way in which you can achieve anything. The third, again, what is very important is to understand the customer requirement, is to be very clear about what is it that the customer wants. And more importantly, we have followed something called the path evaluation review technique and the critical path method and the lean management. Today, the world is all about being able to On the one side, you need to provide a product. On the second side, you need to save costs. So saving costs is almost as important as being able to provide a product which is acceptable to a customer, because money saved is money earned. If you are able to actually save costs, if you are able to have a very specific fund flow estimate, if you are able to ensure that you do not fall short of money at any point of time, and if you are able to provide the customer the best possible product at a relatively lower cost, then the customer would be happy to deal with you, right? So there is a lot more that I can talk about, but essentially it is innovation, it is cost consciousness, it is being able to economize on the product, being technically sound. It is extremely important that you attend technical, innovative sessions. It is extremely important that you go and take some. It may not be expensive, but you must have enough machines. Like our whole strength and USP, our proposition is embellished paper products. And some of the paper products that we manufacture are not made anywhere in the world. We were actually able to beat China and get orders from them in the tissue business that we did. And of course, after Corona, a lot has changed. But the fact of the case is that nothing is impossible, but everything has to be done in a very determined, efficient, concerted, and intelligent manner. That is what I would like to say for now. If you have any other question, I would answer any specific questions. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, sir. That was like a master class. In a brief, I'm sure everyone in the audience is taking notes, and if not, you'll regret it later. Sir, I completely agree with you on out of the box thing. So I also run a venture where we make handmade paper, recycle handmade paper. So we don't cut trees to make paper. Instead, we make it from waste cotton rags. Usually पेड़ कट के paper बनता है. हम cotton rags से paper बनाते हैं. That also we've seen and we've heard in Jaipur, Sangane mein banta hai. Now we've started infusing seeds in our pulp so that products made from them can be grown into plants. So when you said out of the box, so I got a lot of ideas and what we're doing. So just to give you example.
Handmade paper is what I started with. And for 10 to 12 to 15 years, I was the largest exporter of handmade paper products from our country. So
Wow.
handmade paper is my first passion. It continues to be. Well, we have moved away from just handmade paper to other eco-friendly papers. But
Right.
you, young lady, can contact me personally. You can
Okay,
take the
sir.
numbers from the council and we can have a little chat about it. Are
Sure.
you based out of Jaipur or where are you
Yeah,
based out of?
we're based in Jaipur. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so we've
So,
started seed paper. So we went to a lot of brands and we said that, millions and trillions of price tags take a spot at landfills because sabse pehle
yeah,
we cut the price tag only when we buy. So what
yeah,
if we infuse seeds in them and then,
yeah.
make that?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, sure. This is uh, we we are now not concentrating so much on handmade paper because somehow the customer doesn't care as to whether it is handmade paper or whether it is paper at large. And
Mm-hmm.
our specialization is embellishment and things like that.
Right.
But yes, I would love to communicate with you personally and chat with you and give value to you. We
Sure.
are the first ones who added. I mean, everybody in Jaipur would know about me, and we were the first ones to added colored paper. Handmade paper was essentially white,
White. Yeah.
off-white, nearly off-white,
Right.
10 different shades of white, but no other shade of any other color. And
Mm.
we were the first ones in Kalpi, which is another handmade paper center. They used to say that Yamuna paper, you cannot make handmade paper out of, you cannot make colored handmade paper. And I proved them wrong by getting a technician from Jaipur and giving them colored handmade paper. So that
Nice.
was almost 30 years back. So yes,
Nice.
there is a history to it. And
Yeah.
yes,
We've
I
done a
have,
lot of innovation. We would love to talk separately
right,
on that.
right. So that's
Yeah.
that. I'm sorry if I'm boring the others. That
No,
was
no,
not
I
the
think
intention.
just to give the insight, because it's a conversation, and with that
Right,
few conversation, learnings,
right.
insight,
But
we're
basically, you
trying to
have to
help
think
you.
out of the box. Basically, you have to be at it. Basically, you have to forget your dinners and lunches, and you have to work for 12 hours, 14 hours. There is no turning back. And yes, it is a lot of hard work. What
Absolutely.
may all those international exhibitions that we participated with, we had a 70 square meter booth, very, very fancy, this and that. But behind that was a lot of hard work. As for everybody, all of you, I can see Mr. Atul Mishra is a very, very sensible person. Kevam Shah is talking sense. Radhika Agarwal, of course, talked a lot of sense. Musharrat has done well for herself. So that's great. All of you are people who are professionals. So
Right.
I'm not contributing anything new. I'm just naming something which is very, very basic knowledge. You have to think out of the box. You have to go a long way. You have to do all that.
Thank you, sir. I'm
Thank you.
coming to Mr. Shah now. Mr. Shah, my second question to you is, how has the increase in basic custom duty, BCD, which we call, on toys imports impacted the Indian toy industry? Please give some light on that.
Sure, sure. So as per my previous conversation, I also told like in 2020 the basic custom duties have increased from 20 to 60%. So it has highly impacted the Indian toy industry because it was totally dependent on Chinese products. There were no manufacturers, only trading was going on, like importing and selling in the Indian market. And as you know, we are highly populated and a very price sensitive market in terms of toys is concerned, because parents don't have such kind of budgets to spend on kids for toys. They any store they go, a kid like, they just take it as per their budget and then they give to kids. So in terms of pricing is concerned, so there was a huge impact because there were no manufacturers at that time and majorly trading was going on. So after that, after this duty, the major concern of the government was to start manufacturing here. Hence, there was a huge duty on that. And through a Made in India initiative, through government various initiatives, the manufacturing started. So there was a huge impact. And I can say there is a huge opportunity. This impact has created a huge opportunity in terms of manufacturing is concerned. Like, because the toy industry is totally labor incentive industry, skilled labor is intensive. So we in our factory also we have around 70% women workers, skilled workers. So it's a highly labor incentive industry. You can't just put a machinery, do a production, and then you get an output. There are various cycles, various vertical integration cycles, assembly, and everything happens. After that, a product has been like packed and ready to sell. So through this, and also there were no you can say resources available, like what raw material we can source from where. There were no such kind of resources till now. Also, some electronic products for toys we have to be dependent on China, because we don't have such kind of manufacturers who manufacture such kind of electronic parts in India. So that kind of situation is there. It was highly impacted, but I think there is a huge opportunity. Many manufacturers are coming, and we are seeing a huge demand in terms of various countries like US, Europe, Australia, Middle East, and various government initiatives are also coming up. Like now, soon there would be a PLI scheme for the toy sector. And I can see if as a small manufacturer or a small SME who want to start something into toys for now, in terms of exports is concerned, then there are various other, like as sir told, you have to think out of the box. So there are various ways, like you can start with biodegradable plastic toys, which are very much in demand in the Western countries. You can start with recyclable material, recyclable plastic. You can start with wooden toys like neem toys, neem wood toys, handmade toys, paper-based toys, many varieties like DIY kits. Then because kids are now majorly, parents wanted to buy toys which is very much into educational as well as playing, both angles. So that's the way I think so new MSME can start, and that's all from my side.
That's interesting. Interesting perspective, Mr. Shah. The impact of such policies on local manufacturing, I think, will play significant role. hopefully we have good policies coming up. So thank you so much for sharing this. Now I come to Miss Radhika again. Radhika, you actually play a very important role for all the exporters, right? So how, like you said, 24/7 you can be, visible to the buyers. So how has the rise of e-commerce platform impacted export opportunities for India's creative manufacturing, specifically creative manufacturing, leather and toy sector? Because today we are talking about that sector only.
Correct. So I think first of all, we have to realize that e-commerce has definitely revolutionized the way the global trade operates. People earlier could not have thought that they sitting right here, probably in India, are able to sell their products in countries like US, Europe. So I think definitely there has been a huge shift. I think what pre-COVID, I mean pre-COVID typically, or e-commerce era, people used to typically go to separate factories, go to a different location, talk to a seller about what their needs are, what kind of products they're looking for. But now, all of the e-commerce platforms have made the entire experience for buyers and sellers a lot more seamless, a lot more cost effective, and it is more like a level playing field for both parties, that buyers are able to pick and choose from multiple sellers according to what exact needs they have, and sellers are also able to find, what if they are creating a niche, what kind of niche are they, what if they are able to find the right kind of buyers for their niche. So there is a perfect seller for every buyer, and there is a perfect buyer for every seller, and that matchmaking is been able to do is been able to complete is being done by the e-commerce platform. So I think that is definitely one very important point that I would like to mention. Another thing that we are able to see in terms of the trends that are changing, that there is a significant shift in terms of diversifications away from China. So earlier people used to think that China is the only global manufacturing hub, that whatever needs I have as a buyer, I would go to China for the right kind of sellers. But I think now what we are seeing as a trend, that buyers are now becoming very, very sector specific in terms of their needs. So if a buyer wants to, say, import wine, if you they would not go for a Chinese seller, they would buy when they have the access to Italy and France sellers. So similarly, if a buyer is looking for traditional toys or handcrafted toys, they would turn their heads towards India, which is why that gives us a huge opportunity, that let's try to hone the kind of expertise that we have, and not compete with the big players, the big markets in the world, because we have a lot of expertise of our own. Another thing, not only in this particular category, but India's general USP, I would say, is the hath ki karigari and the handcrafted products, be it from different parts of India. So, and that is another reason that specifically India has the edge over in the leather category. If we talk about, India has an edge over China over here, because for Chinese sellers, leather is becoming very scarce and expensive as a raw material for them, which is why they are now getting into lab grown leather. And while there is a market for that as well, there are a lot of buyers who are still looking for organic and natural leather, where India definitely has an edge over them, because we already have very established hubs in different parts of India, say Kanpur, Kolkata, Chennai. All of these are very good at what this particular industry, which is why the buyers would want to go for them, because of the trust factor and the high quality of raw materials they're able to get from these places. So I think India's overall expertise lie, I think all of us in our own segments have talked about it, but if I just boil it down, our expertise definitely lie in handcrafted products, customization, um, low MOQs, which is minimum order quantities, that we are able to cater to smaller needs, because we are doing customization, we are making products which are specifically according to your needs. So we are very happy to take smaller orders as well, not in like thousands and 10,000s and those kind of quantities. And lastly, we can also hone a good customer experience, good customer interaction, because every buyer is very important to us. We are able to cater to their exact needs and mold our functions according to what they are looking for. So I think it's about honing what you are good at, and not trying to put your hand in everything, like playing in scale and things which are not the things that we can compete in. So I think that's something that I would like to say.
Thank you, Ms. Radhika. That's a perspective worth applauding. Thank you so much. It makes us wonder how much potential is yet to be tapped in India's export ecosystem. I think hearing you, maybe a lot of exporters or to be exporters will come on board and showcase their creativity out of the box products. So that's insightful. Thank you so much for opening doors for countless MSMEs. Now I come to Atul Mishra sir again. Sir, with your expertise, I want to ask you, why has Indian leather industry attracted minimal FDI, foreign direct investment, compared to the competing countries?
Thank you, ma'am. I think it's a very important question, because what has happened, this leather industry, it remains fragmented as of now, and it is not as organized as others are, our competitors specifically. So if I have to tell you why the FDI is not coming, so obviously for the tanneries, obviously it cannot come, because the kind of structural policy that we are having, because that is a first step where we enter into the supply chain. If you look at the kind of complex structure that we have created in our country, if FDI has to come, first of all, it's a foreigner's money. He would like to bring it with a minimum ease. There should not be any kind of a hurdle to him. We have more than 44, or we have just mapped out the kind of compliances which are required to establish a tannery. It is from state to state, if you move, so it is somewhere between 22 to 46. It includes central government, state government, and local government. All this, how to take a consent to operate, take a consent to establish land acquisition, power connection, water utilities, everything including. So for a one person come here who is have very minimal knowledge of your legal system, would not like to put in his money, which takes almost more than 1 year to basically start getting into the cash flow. So it's very difficult. You would not be basically going into the venture which has such a huge gestation period. So first of all, that's why it is not coming. Let's come to the very specific. See, Indians leather industry, which you are calling, it is totally labor intensive, and so far we have not adopted to the automation. We have not moved up to the value chain. So they do not, these foreign venture capitalists, they do not find any profitability coming here and then getting into the investment. Then if you look at we have also done one very market segmentation of the pricing, basically the kind of buyers or the purchasing that would be happening in our country, because anybody who is coming, he comes only for the from two point of view. One, either he can cater your domestic market, he can produce and sell it here, or he can, even though export, he produce it at a cheaper cost and then he export to the various markets. Now, when we come to the first one, where he has to cater to our domestic market, you would be surprised, for any kind of leather items, if it has to be bought, at least it should have a price segment of more than 3,000 rupees. And what is happening in India? It is almost 53% of the buying behavior for all such products. It is confined below rupees 500. So 53% market of it confined to the rupees 500. If you add another 1,000 rupees, like you take it to a rupees 1,500, it almost 83% you cover. So for the big brands come here, invest and create all entire supply chain, they do not find it profitable. Obviously, they were not finding it profitable at least till 2020. After COVID, what we have seen that there is a jump that is happening. People's income is increasing, urbanization is happening, choices are increasing. So obviously, they also see some light in it now. I will give you certain examples. If we move at a one segment of the leather industry, that's a footwear. What has happened since 2015? There has been a lot of inflow that is happening, especially for the footwear segment. Obviously, not for the leather and leather goods, but for the footwear segment, there has been a huge inflow. Like Nike, Puma, and Adidas, they are investing hugely through their contract manufacturers. They are asking them to go to India because still there is a cost advantage that are having there. They can capitalize on that one. So, like I will just give you certain names, like Fengte. It's one of the good manufacturer belong to Taiwan. They have already set up their factories in Tamil Nadu. They are already working, operating, and exporting from here. Obviously, they do not cater to the domestic, but they are exporting. Then we have a JR1 Footwear Private Limited. It is again from the Taiwan. It is Taiwanese who are coming and investing here. We have a Pauchen, Hongfu. So all of these, they have already brought in investment and they have started working. Being a labor intensive and having a different type of structural policies which does not allow them, then our market segmentation, where still the mass which looks for the lower price segment. That's why most of the venture capitalists or brands who are catering across global market, they are unable to come to India. But I think things are now turning around, and in the last specifically after 2015, the kind of ease that is being created, we have created a formal market. We have integrated our markets through various reforms, either in terms through the central governments or the state governments, and by incentivizing their production systems and providing all kind of wherewithals which are necessary. I think we are now gearing up, and FDIs have started coming into country. Because if you don't have FDI, the knowledge and the managerial practices and other resources which are required to basically integrate, it doesn't come so easily. So it has started coming. But there is one basic problem that right now most of the leather manufacturers, they are facing, that when it comes, the knowledge, especially of the, if you have to do any automation, or you have to basically create a machine lines, and you have to train your workers. So it's basically trainers who are required. These trainers normally comes from the countries where you have a manufacturing setup, like China, Vietnam, Indonesia, all these countries, or Taiwanese. They have experience. They are working since last 4 and 5 decades. So somehow, because of the certain stiff relationship, and because China has a good dominance, so we are unable to get the people who can come here, set up your factories, and train your manpower. So that is now becoming a big challenge. But what we have heard, now the government is also considering basically how to liberalize this. Because until and unless you don't connect yourself with those who have a manpower and those who have a knowledge, then it would be very difficult to train and then bring in a productivity which is expected from you. Until and unless you don't play on those areas, it is very difficult. But yes, we are hopeful that gradually this FDI gap that we are having, and that's why we were not able to integrate ourselves fully in the global supply chain, it will be curbed, it will be subsequently filled up, and time has come, and we are really very hopeful. That's what I have to submit, ma'am, from my side.
Thank you, sir. I think that's an important observation, and your insights certainly give us lots to think about when it comes to creating more conducive environment for FDI. So thank you so much for giving this detailed insight. Thank you. So we're almost, at the end of this session. So I was quite keen. So this is my question to last question to Mr. Shah. Since we're talking about sustainability, entire planet is focusing on that. So what do you think, what opportunities exist for India in the production of sustainable toys, though you mentioned a bit about it in your previous insight? So do you think can innovation and sustainability go hand in hand in the toy sector in India?
Definitely. So innovation and sustainability it's a key, I guess, main part. It will go hand in hand. So there are various, various natural resources which are available. And if you can say into jewelry segment or any textile segment, this all handmade resources are being used to make a product. So that same can be implemented in the toy market. You can make a product of that which are naturally available, like you can say neem wood or such kind of woods which are very much natural, and if a kid can put in their mouth, then it's good. Because if in our if you can say about neem, it's very good for health, neem wood or such kind of thing. So that kind of thing must be implemented, like you can create a innovative toy out of that. Even biodegradable plastic, like plant based plastic,
Right.
that can be used, and that can be a very much demandable in the western countries, not here, because India is very price sensitive. So premium segment can pay for that. But if you can say into western countries, this kind of innovation in such kind of toys can be possible. Recyclable plastic, natural kind of toys, natural clay toys, natural sand, then paper-based toys. Then also I can say if you are using ink and such kind of thing, then water-based ink, natural dyes, that kind of raw material, you can make up that kind of raw material and create an innovative toy. And this can be a good innovation. And also, like, if you can use innovative packaging, recyclable paper packaging, that kind of packaging can play a good role in Western countries like US and Europe.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So now we'll pick up few questions from the audience. So there is one question from audience which I'll read for you, and one of you could help this person answer. He says we need mentorship, funds, manufacturing facility, leads, GTM strategy to be able to compete with quality and prices of China. Most of the Indians only have interest but lack the rest. Who would like to answer this? Sir, you would like to answer? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, I do agree with him. Obviously, the last part of the question that he has basically put in, like we are not interested. It's not interested. Obviously, I would not say with full authority. What happens? It is your entrepreneurial skill and the way you can basically venture it out. Now, if you have to fight with the China, you cannot fight alone. You need a backing, and you need a backing from the at a macro level. So it's a government thinking. It's your environment that should be made in such a way where they basically help you out. They propel your entrepreneurial skills in such a way where you can capitalize on that. Obviously, all entrepreneurs, they know basically produce goods, but the problem is when it comes to compete with the prices. I will give you one very good example. We were doing one survey where we wanted to understand what is the buyer's inclination that he would like to buy from India. So it has always, we were giving so many factors to them. Please look into these things, that we may not be having sufficient raw material, our lands are costly, our manpower may be not skillful, productive enough. So what they were basically pinning down was, it's okay, there is a basket of the competency, you put in everything, but when it comes to the price, it is always price. You have everything, but if you cannot match the price, you would not be able. But how to bring down the prices where it is not your own effort or not your organizational skills or productivity, raw material cost, that will not help you. There is something external thing that is going to help you. So on all those fronts. For example, logistics, port connectivity, ease of sending the goods, delivery time, lead times, how you manage it. Vietnam can manage because they have all their producers. Please come on the coastline. I'm giving you the clusters. Please stay here. I will give you everything. You go within 35 days, you start operating. Here, you come, you bring your money. I will give you everything, but please go and speak to everybody. He goes around for 6 months. He doesn't get anything. So ultimately, he thinks I wasted my 6 months, even though what I was supposed to get as my opportunity cost, I'm also losing that one. So why to basically get into that one? So the matter is at a macro level, until unless we cannot help him to basically get into that and then compete in all parameters with all your there is we had done one study where we wanted to just understand what is the cost disadvantage that our leather and footwear industry is having compared to China, Vietnam, and other these countries. You would find there are two ways to basically understand it. We calculated at a macro level, it came out to be 13.8%. When we reduced it to a price level, see anybody who is selling a product of the $15, what 13.8, how does it matter? Maximum $17. You can compete. People will keep telling you, okay, if you are selling at $17, somebody is selling at a $15. It's a matter of you put in something like sustainability of aspect. If you can highlight it, no, you are obviously people would like to come and chip in with you and they start working with you and they will buy from you. But actually, that does not take place. That doesn't happen at a macro level. It really, when you are dealing in the bulk, even though it's small, also you need to be price sensitive, and price now it is not only the aspects of the entrepreneurs or his own efforts that are helping. It's something external that must also be factored in, and we must look into it. It's everything, collecting resources, credit, automation, whatever that you do there, the ease of the business and the support from the government systems or systems which are around you, that must be there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I think next question is but obvious to Kevam. For you and maybe Radhika, you can answer. We have handmade wooden toys and how I can export. So if you were listening to this conversation, I think this is already answered. But in a very brief, if you both can answer him, it'll be nice.
Yeah, so like I already mentioned, so we can definitely export. So major destination is Western countries like Europe and USA. It's a huge in demand handmade toys. Just one factor is like you have to follow their compliance. So they majorly require FSC certified wooden manufacturers or wooden products, which has a FSC certificate. So that's the major compliance required. But yes, definitely handmade toys and natural toys, wooden toys are very much in demand and can be exported.
And I
Radhika,
think
you want to add?
for me, I think I would just like to say our team will definitely reach out to you because you have the product right product actually, and the kind of product which is actually showing great promise in the market according to the market trends as well. So the only next step is our team can connect with you and help you set up your B2B export account with Alibaba.com, and I think world is the oyster then.
Yeah, thank you so much. And this is for all of you who are listening here and wanting to start your export or already doing export and not being able to get that kind of traction. So hearing all these eminent leaders, exporters, I'm sure now you're geared up. And Alibaba is a great platform, so you should definitely check out and be present there. Let's take one last question and then we wrap up. What is the market for fruit leather? Sir, you want to answer?
Yeah, because it's leather, so I may, if
Yeah.
in case if
Yeah.
you allow me. See, ma'am, it's a fruit leather. I understand what it's basically a kind of vegan leather that is being now produced. So what you normally do, you take out the these raw waste of the fruit and then add into the chemicals which are being, then you create a kind of a leather-like fabric. Obviously, it depends what kind of segmentation you are looking for. I have heard there is a huge demand that is happening in the European countries and North America. I have heard, but in practical, I have never got a chance to meet anybody who is looking for this. Even though I was approached by somebody who was manufacturing in NCR, She was very eager to basically, she was producing it and she wanted to have a launch in the market of the product that she has made. So here we have to be a little careful. I am not discouraging anybody, but see, when it comes to comparing with the various materials which are used for the leather products, see, we have something that is organic, that is coming out of the raw hide from the animals. Then we have something which exactly comes from the chemicals, PU leather, which we call, or leatherite normally in a layman language that you call it. Then there is something that they have fused the chemical with the various wastes of the fruits and vegetables and created another product. So it's a sustainability aspects of this one. Obviously, people still think that it's a fruit leather, vegan leather that is more popular. But if you compare, still it is debatable. It's not so easily basically marketable. People are not that acceptable. It has a certain merits, but it has a demerits also. If demerits are so much that it cannot allure your customer, so it is better to be away from it. But first, before launching it, you please do have a certain testing in market, understand the customer's feedback, then please go for it. But I have heard there is a demand for it, even though some of the big brands also have started demanding, if you have a vegan leather, then obviously we can have a better prospects of the business with you. European countries and North Americans, they are very inclined to basically have it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And with this, we come to a complete end to this program. Thank you so much. And to all the listeners, balance question, you can maybe get in touch with all the panelists through LinkedIn profile. You can search their name and get in touch with them. I think they'll be happy to help you. So thank you to all our esteemed speakers for sharing such an insightful perspectives today. It is evident that India's creative manufacturing sector has immense potential, provided we focus on innovation, like Sir said, out of the box, sustainability, leveraging technology, like Radhika mentioned. So to our audience, we hope this session inspires you to explore new ideas, partnership, and market, and make our Bharat Viksit Bharat. Let's work together to make India's global leader in these industries. So thank you. Special thanks to India SME Forum for organizing this platform, and to all the participants for your active engagement. Let's continue to innovate, collaborate, and scale new heights in the global value chain. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening ahead. I loved hosting you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone who joined today's session on the Creative Manufacturing, Leather and Toys under the India Exports Accessing Global Value Chains 2025. We hope the knowledge that was shared by our esteemed panelists was very helpful to you and empowers you to enter the global market with confidence. I would like to extend my gratefulness to the esteemed panelists for taking time out of their busy schedules and joining us and sharing their information and their knowledges with our members. Also, I would like to thank Pinky ji for joining us and moderating the session so well, and such a smooth overall webinar. India Export is committed to support the future of Indian MSMEs and with offering knowledge, practical tools, and guidance across various sectors. Now, as the series continues, we encourage you to please stay engaged and connected to our network to take part in our other sector-specific webinars. You can visit our website, indiaexports.com, to register for the program, and the recordings of each of these sessions will be available on YouTube to watch on our YouTube channel, the India SME Forum, and all the additional resources you can check out our website, indiasmeforum.org. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alibaba.com की मेंबरशिप मेरी कंपनी को अभी ग्लोबल ब्रांड बना रही है।
Go export with Alibaba.